Good afternoon, Americans and humans. This is your favorite alien here on the afternoon of Monday, February 28th, 2022. Sitting in for Paul Harvey this afternoon. Stand by for commentary. Or if Mr. Harvey was alive today, he would do a commentary on what's going on here and where do you go from here? So here it goes. Part of the problem that you got with Ukraine today is caused by yourselves, Americans. You have a big hand in it. And Russia has a big hand in it, too. They're the two pain in the asses that caused the problem we're here. And I don't mean Russia by invading Ukraine. The problem goes back to the Soviet Union. When our friend Joseph Stalin kicked the bucket, and mind you, he was from Georgia. Okay, there was a period of instability there from 53 to 58, which a lot of people wanted to take charge of the Soviet Union. So you really didn't have one person in charge of the Soviet Union up until 58. But there was this one guy from Ukraine who had influence with the Supreme Soviet in 1954. And he had this strange idea that, hey, why is the Crimea part of the Russian Federation when it's connected to Ukraine SSR? Yeah. So Mr. Nikita Khrushchev stole it and made it part of Ukraine SSR. And then he also contributed to his way of thinking. He also threw shoes at people, just like the one guy did at President Bush a couple decades later. Yeah. Oh boy. But he used to throw shoes at people. And in 1962, he created the Cuban Missile Crisis. Yeah. So a lot of people thought he was demented, remember? 1962, yeah. Is Khrushchev demented? I hear that from Vladimir Putin over here, don't I? Yes. Well, it came close to World War III, right? Well, they kicked him out of there in 64 because of the humiliation they gave the Soviet Union after backing down in 62 to Mr. John F. Kennedy. And that's what the Russians would say today. Okay? And so the three guys that came aboard, the biggest guy on there was Leonid Brezhnev, which was another Ukrainian. Yeah, do you understand what I mean? Okay. As the Soviet Union leader. So Ukraine, you had your heyday. 58 to 82, Ukraine ruled the USSR, the USSR. Don't say that, huh? Really? Why not? Well, anyway, he kicked the bucket in 82. And then you had two guys that came by, little by little. Konstantin Chinoko and Yuri Andropov. Oh, yes. Well, what happened? Well, then you had this guy from Kari, over there in the Caucasus Mountains, part of Russia, yeah, whose name was Mikhail Gorbachev. And he became the Soviet Union president and secretary party of the Communist Party, in 85. And he went into perestroika and then glasnost. Yoo-hoo! Boy. Dirty words in Russian. Perestroika and glasnost. Oh, the Russians can tell you that was a dirty word. Dirty. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my face, my mouth with soap and water here. Yoo-hoo! Yeah. Okay. So he went in a disastrous way. And one of the CIA guys was a young guy named Vladimir Putin, who probably was eating at his side that, hey, those stupid Ukrainians got the Crimea. Oh, that irked. That would be as bad as saying that the Russians are in charge of the Liberty Bell. Oh, that would be irking for the Americans, wouldn't it? Yee, would that be irking for the Americans? Well, anyway, so he decided he's going to do something about it, but he bought his time. The Soviet Union disintegrated in 1991 due to perestroika and glasnost. Oh, boy, did they disintegrate, yeah. And nobody remembers Titan. Yeah. Oh, well. So in 1991, Boris Yeltsin was the head of the Russian Federation. Ooh, what a guy. Give me vodka or give me more vodka, please. Yoo-hoo. Yeah. So from 91 to 99, he was a disaster for the Russian Federation. And, they couldn't handle anything, really. Their army and military went downhill in a hurry. Their nuclear weapons were all over the place. And by 1994, Ukraine, which had Chernobyl in 86, was a disaster. So the United States went in and did this treaty. Oh, what a treaty did they do? Helped the Russians take all the nuclear stuff out of the Ukraine and take it back to the Russian Federation. Yeah. Okay. And then they put a treaty in there that Ukraine, they would be responsible for making the Ukraine democratic and coming to Ukraine's aid. Yeah. Where did I hear that before? Oh, yeah. Red Cloud in 1867. Yoo-hoo! And what happened to Red Cloud? Well, the same thing happened to Ukraine. He got suckered, twisted, and thrown down the wind, and down the river he went. Poor Red Cloud. Yeah. Yeah. Well, then came 2014, and Putin decided, okay, I got my reconstructed military, I got my economy back to normal. Hey, and I got this one guy here in China who's kind of being fun, Mr. Ding Xiaoping, or I think that's his name. It's something Ding Dang in Chinese you can't pronounce the names. Ding Xiaoping. It's better than Mao Zedong, right? Oh yeah, or Chu Enlai, you know Chinese. Yeah. Well, anyway, so he went over there, grabbed the Crimea back from Ukraine, and by the way, that was perfectly legal because it was his territory. The United Nations should have, when they put the Ukraine back into the UN, they should have said, okay, but you got to give that territory back to Russia. It belongs to them. And it does. Physically, always has. So the Ukraine had no power there, okay? But then they, when that happened to the Ukraine, and they lost the eastern parts of it to the Russian enclave that was over there, the United States and Europe decided to, hey, let's sell them a bill of goods here. So you did. You sold them a bill of goods. Okay, we can make you members of the EU or NATO. Neither one was in the cards. They didn't want them. Why do we want these stupid Ukrainians? They are so corrupt and that. But Mr. Walensky, he thought he was dealing with honorable men. Oh, as Mr. Mark Anthony would say, honorable men. Cassius and Brutus, honorable men. United States and Europe, honorable men. Really? Mark Anthony, can you come back from the grave and tell these guys that they were Cassius and Brutus, please? Yoo-hoo! Yeah. Well, it then comes now, where Putin says, okay, I want this other guy. He's giving me a pain in the ass here. And look at that. I can't look anywhere without NATO. Which you guys should have known better than putting the NATO there. Those countries should have belonged as international open countries. Neither side, Russian nor European or American intervene in Lafayette, Lithuania, and Estonia, Ukraine, Belarus. Yes. Right. But you didn't. You made them all NATO. And that irked Vladimir Putin. And he was already having serious problems. And by 2021 and 2022, his dementia is getting worse. And his paranoia is getting worse. Yeah. So now you got this problem here. And like I told you in my video earlier this morning, what are you going to do? Well, Mr. Putin is probably going to play the card. He's got this column going into Kiev. If I were him, I would bury it under tons of incendiary bombs. And find Lewinsky is where I can get him and hang him up for the next tree before the European Union says, okay, we'll make you a member, which President Zelensky, why did you send that letter today? That irks Putin worse. And you know that no way in hell is the European Union going to admit you into the Union when you're being occupied by the Russians. Yoo-hoo! That's like asking Brutus and Cassius to do a good job on the burial of Julius Caesar. Yeah. So what did they do? They asked Mark Antony to do the burial, and he buried them. And that's what you're asking Putin here, to bury you in nuclear weapons, because he's looking for World War III. He's had enough of your disastrous things, Europeans and Americans. And like I told you in my earlier video, he's going to make his forces through Belarus, going into Poland, and going into Lithuania, especially Vilnius. He won't have as much trouble as going into Vilnius as he has going into Kiev. Yoo-hoo! Well, anyway, sitting in for Paul Harvey. And I hope Mr. Harvey understands why I did this commentary. It's not going to affect anybody. Nobody's going to listen to it, Mr. Harvey. But anyway, you understand what I did it. Good day.